Alright class, so for today what we're going to be talking about is the Triangle Sum Theorem. And with the Triangle Sum Theorem, we're focusing on three sides of a triangle, and what we're doing is we're finding the measure of the three angles on the inside of that triangle. And what they call those three angles, they're called your interior angles. Okay, so we did say we had three of them. And it basically states that all three of those angles together, when I put them together side by side, they make a straight line. And with that straight line, what they say is that the sum of all three, so we know the sum means add. If I take and add all three of the interior angles, they're going to equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so no matter what the numbers that they put in there, it could be expressions. Whenever we have to solve this problem, we're going to be adding them together, and we have to make it equal to 180 degrees. So in order to do that, we're going to follow a couple steps. First step is that we're going to write an equation that adds all three angle measurements together, okay? And then we're going to set the equation equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so whenever we have to find the measures of the inside of a triangle, it's going to be equal to 180 degrees. Now, in some cases, we're going to have expressions. So if we have an expression, we're going to have to solve for the variable. And in some cases, depending on what they're asking for, we're going to have to take that number we get for the variable and plug it back into the expression to see what the actual angle measure is. And we're going to practice that here when we get to our examples. So now, looking at the first example, example 1, okay? In order for us to solve it, it says we basically got to take the three angles on the inside, we're going to add them up, and we got to make sure it equals to 180 degrees. So what we're going to do is we've got two angles they gave us. They gave us 138, and they gave us 10. So we're going to take 138 and 10 and add it together. Whenever we do that, we're going to get 148 degrees. So they only gave us 148, but we need it to be 180 degrees, so we got to find the difference of that. So we're going to take now 180 and subtract 148 from it. Okay, so when we do that, what we do is we can use our calculator. We're going to take 180 degrees and subtract 148, and we get our answer to be 32 degrees. So the value of z is 32 degrees for that problem. The next one, what we have, equation 2, we got y, 35, and 25. Same thing. The two numbers that they gave us, or whatever they give us, we combine together. So in this case, we got 25 plus 35. And what that gives us is 60. Then we got to find out what is the remainder after we take and subtract it from 180. So we do 180 minus 60. We'll find out that the value of y is 120 degrees. And then for the last example for this part, same thing. We got two. They gave us this one. They gave us this one. And we got to find the other one. So we'll take 110 plus 25. When we add those two together, we get 135. Okay, then we take what we just added up and we're going to subtract it from 180. Remember, you can do it by hand, or you can use your calculator, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Okay, so we had 180 subtract 135, and we found out that that one is going to be 45. So we'll have x is equal to 45 degrees. Okay, so these are the easier ones. They really just give us two numbers, and we add those two numbers, and we'll take that and subtract it from 180, and that's what we got: 45, 120, and 32 degrees. Now, as we move into our next set of examples, this next set of examples is going to take a little bit more work. Okay, So we're going to treat this one as example 4. In example 4, we're going to find the measures of angle A, B, and C. So what we have is a triangle, and our triangle is labeled ABC. Okay, and in that triangle we have 3 angles that we got to find. We got to find the angle of A, we got to find the measure of angle B, okay, and then we're going to find the measure of angle C. So let's go through the process. Now, because they're both expressions, the way we set it up is not like we did with the other one, okay? But we're going to try to make it simple and easy. So the first one angle we had was x plus 62. The next one we had was x plus 62. These are the 2 expressions. And the last one we had was a positive 80. So we have to remember that 3 angles inside the triangle will add up to be 180 degrees. So we're going to add all these 3 angles together. So we got 62 plus 62 plus 80. That's going to make 204. We got 1x and 1x. That's going to make 2x. Now that we combine them together, that's going to be equal to 180 degrees. So now if you look at it, what we have now is a 2-step equation. And when we solved these before, what we did was we added or subtracted first. So we're going to subtract 204 on both sides. The double 204s go away. 2x comes down. We got 180 minus 204. That's going to give us negative 24. We're going to take and divide by 2 on both sides. Okay? When we take negative 24 divided by 2, we find out the value of x is negative 12. Okay? So that's just the value of x. What we need to know, what is the value of the measure of A, B, and C. So what we got to do with that number is we're going to take and plug 12 in for the missing values, or for the missing x. We already know what measure of angle B is. They told us that was 80 degrees, so we don't have to do nothing with that one. So A basically is going to be negative 12 plus 62. So negative 12 plus 62 is going to be 50. Same thing, we got negative 12 plus 62, and that's going to also be 50. So the angle measures that we have missing here for angle A is 50 degrees. The measure we have for C is also 50 degrees. And if we look at all 3 numbers, they add up to be 180 degrees. Okay, so that's example 4. Example 5. We got the same concept, okay? We have to find the measure of angle A, angle B, and angle C. Now, if we look at our angles, the 3 angles we have on the inside of our triangle, only 2 of them had a variable, so that means the measure of angle A is already 85 degrees. We just got to find out the value of x, and then find whatever the value of x is, we'll plug it back into the expression and find out what that measure is. So let's do that. So what we got is, our first expression is 6x, then we have 2x plus 15, and then we got positive 85. All 3 will add together. So we got 15 plus 85. That's going to make 100. 6x plus 2x is going to be 8x. And all that was added together. And when it's added together, it's going to equal 180 degrees. We're going to go from there. We're going to subtract 100 on both sides. When I subtract 100 on both sides, the double 100s go away. 180 minus 100 is 80 degrees. I bring down my 8x. Last thing I do is divide by 8. We find out the value of x in this one is going to be 10. So let me write that up top. X is equal to 10. Okay? So we got to find the value of the measure of angle B. So we'll do 6 times 10, because x is 10, which is going to be 60. And then we're going to do 2 times 10 plus 15. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 plus 15 gives me 35. Okay, so the angle measures are 60 and 35. So what we just did was we solved equations using the triangle sum theorem, meaning we took the three angles that are inside of our triangle, we added them together, and they equal to 180 degrees. When we did expressions, we added up the expressions, set it equal to 180, and then found out what the value of the x, or the missing value, was, then went back and plugged it in to find out the degrees. Okay, just because I found the value of x don't mean that is my degree. That is just the value of x. Okay, so you really have to pay attention to what your question is asking you for. But that is how you use the triangle sum theorem to find the missing angles inside of a triangle.